Right now, as you're watching this, there's another version of you who just died, another version who never existed, and another who's about to discover something that will change everything they thought they knew about reality. By the end of this video, you'll understand why scientists are terrified of what they've found hidden in the equations of our universe. The Big Bang did not bang. This isn't some clever wordplay or philosophical riddle. It's a fundamental truth that shatters everything we thought we knew about existence itself. For decades, we've been told a story of cosmic creation that begins with a singular moment, a point of infinite density that exploded into being, giving birth to space, time, and everything we see. But what if that story is not just incomplete? What if it's dangerously wrong? You see, the universe doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care that you need a beginning, a middle, and an end to make sense of your place in the cosmic order. While you've been living your life, making plans, falling in love, building dreams, the universe has been playing by rules so alien, so fundamentally different from anything your mind was designed to comprehend, that the very act of understanding them changes who you are. Right now, as you read these words, there might be another version of you, identical in every way, except for one quantum decision made billions of years ago, reading these exact same words in a universe where the laws of physics are subtly different, where gravity pulls just a fraction stronger, where light travels at a different speed, where the very atoms that make up your body vibrate to a rhythm that would make this universe impossible. And that version of you is just as real as you are, just as convinced of their own singular existence. But here's where it gets truly unsettling. If there are infinite universes, infinite versions of reality, then there are infinite versions of you, versions where you made different choices, where you were born in different times, where you never existed at all. And somewhere in that infinite expanse, there's a universe where the story I'm about to tell you is not just theory. It's observable fact, where the barriers between realities are thin enough that you can see through them, where the multiverse reveals itself not as abstract mathematics, but as a living, breathing truth that touches every moment of existence. The mathematics don't lie, even when they reveal truths that make your soul shiver. When physicists peer into the quantum realm, they discover something that should not exist if our universe is truly unique. They find evidence of interference patterns that suggest our reality is constantly colliding with unseen others. They detect quantum fluctuations that seem to carry information from elsewhere, whispers from parallel worlds that exist just beyond the edge of perception. Imagine standing at the shore of an infinite ocean in the dead of night. The water stretches endlessly in every direction, black and unknowable. But occasionally, just for a moment, you catch a glimpse of light beneath the surface. Not one light, but thousands, millions, an infinite constellation of lights moving through the depths. Each light is a universe, complete and self-contained, following its own trajectory through the cosmic dark. Some are bright and young, others dim and dying. Some pulse with the rhythm of alien physics, others burn with the fire of realities where the impossible becomes mundane. Now imagine that you are not standing on the shore. You are one of those lights, moving through the darkness, convinced that you alone exist in the vast emptiness. But the darkness is not empty. It's full of others just like you, each one isolated by the very nature of reality itself, each one carrying entire worlds, entire histories, entire populations of beings who love and dream and wonder about their place in the cosmos. This is not science fiction. This is not philosophical speculation. This is the inevitable conclusion of our most successful theories about the nature of reality. When you push the mathematics of quantum mechanics to their logical extreme, when you follow the equations wherever they lead without flinching, they paint a picture of existence that is both beautiful and terrifying in its scope. A picture where your universe, this universe, the one you call home, is not special, not unique, not even particularly important in the grand scheme of things. But if that's true, if we are indeed just one light among infinite others, then everything changes. The way you think about consciousness, about free will, about the meaning of existence itself. All of it must be reconsidered in light of this staggering possibility. Because if there are infinite versions of you making infinite choices across infinite realities, then what does it mean to be you? What does it mean to choose? What does it mean to matter? The answer to that question will challenge everything you believe about what it means to be human, to be conscious, to be alive in a universe that may be far stranger and more wonderful than you ever dared imagine. And once you glimpse that truth, once you peer through the veil that separates your reality from all the others, you can never go back to the comfortable certainty of believing you are alone in the cosmic dark. The journey we're about to take together will not leave you unchanged. It will show you wonders that exist beyond the reach of any telescope. Reveal truths that hide in the spaces between thoughts, and ask questions that have no easy answers. But it will also show you that you are part of something infinitely larger, infinitely more mysterious, and infinitely more beautiful than you ever thought possible. Even if, especially if, you are not alone. So take a deep breath and prepare to discover just how deep the rabbit hole of reality truly goes. Because once we start falling, once we begin to see the universe as it really is rather than as we need it to be, there's no telling where we'll end up. And in a multiverse of infinite possibilities, that's both the most terrifying and the most liberating truth of all. Picture this. You're holding a grain of sand between your fingers. Such a tiny thing, seemingly insignificant. But if you could somehow compress all the matter and energy that exists in our observable universe, every star, every galaxy, every planet, every atom of hydrogen drifting through the void, into a space smaller than that grain of sand, you would have recreated the conditions that existed 13.8 billion years ago. Not just hot, not just dense, but a state of existence so extreme that the very concepts of space and time become meaningless. This is what we call the Big Bang. And for decades, it has been the cornerstone of our understanding of cosmic origins. We've been told this story so many times that it feels like absolute truth. There was nothing. Then suddenly, everything. A cosmic explosion that created not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of space-time itself. It's a beautiful story, elegant in its simplicity, satisfying in its definitiveness, but like all beautiful stories, it's incomplete. The early universe wasn't just hot. It was a furnace, where time itself was still learning to move. Temperature loses all meaning when you're talking about energies that make the core of the sun seem like a gentle summer breeze. In those first fractions of a second, the universe existed in a state that defies every intuition you have about how reality should behave. Particles winked in and out of existence like fireflies in a storm. The forces that govern everything we know, gravity, electromagnetism, the nuclear forces that hold atoms together, were unified into something unrecognizable, something that would make the physics of today seem like a quaint approximation. But here's where the story gets interesting, where the comfortable certainty of textbook cosmology begins to crack at the edges. If the universe truly began from a single point, if everything we see emerged from that primordial singularity, then we should be able to trace everything back to that moment. Every star, every galaxy, every structure in the cosmos should carry the fingerprints of that singular beginning. And, for the most part, they do. The cosmic microwave background radiation bathes everything in the afterglow of that ancient fire. The abundance of light elements matches exactly what we'd expect from nucleosynthesis in the first few minutes after the Big Bang. Yet when we look deeper, when we peer into the quantum realm that underlies all reality, we find something that shouldn't exist if our universe is truly unique. We find evidence of what physicists call quantum foam, a seething, boiling activity at the smallest scales of existence, where virtual particles constantly pop into and out of being. This isn't just theoretical speculation. It's measurable, observable, and it tells us something profound about the nature of reality itself. Imagine the universe as a vast ocean, seemingly calm and uniform on the surface, but dive deeper, and you discover the water is not still at all. At the microscopic level, it's churning with activity, currents, eddies, and waves that create patterns of incredible complexity. These quantum fluctuations, these tiny variations in the energy of empty space, are what gave birth to the first seeds of structure in the cosmos. Without them, without this inherent instability in the fabric of reality, our universe would be perfectly smooth, perfectly uniform, perfectly empty. But here's the paradox that keeps cosmologists awake at night. If quantum fluctuations are truly random, if they emerge from pure chance at the quantum level, then why do they seem to follow patterns? Patterns that suggest something deeper, something more orchestrated. When we map the cosmic microwave background, when we study the distribution of galaxies across billions of light years, we see correlations that stretch across distances so vast that light itself hasn't had time to travel between them since the beginning of time. This is called the horizon problem, and it's one of the most profound mysteries in cosmology. How can regions of space that have never been in contact with each other, that exist beyond each other's light cones, exhibit such precise correlations? It's as if the universe remembers something from before the Big Bang, as if information somehow traveled faster than light to coordinate the cosmic dance on the largest possible scales. The answer, according to our best theories, is inflation, a period of exponential expansion that occurred in the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang. But inflation is not just a cosmic growth spurt. It's a fundamental reimagining of what it means for a universe to exist. During inflation, space itself expanded, faster than light, carrying distant regions beyond each other's reach, while preserving the correlations that were established when they were still in contact. But inflation comes with a price. A consequence that changes everything we thought we knew about cosmic uniqueness. If inflation could happen once, if the quantum fields that drive it could create our universe, then there's no reason why it couldn't happen. Again and again and again. In fact, the mathematics of inflation suggest that it must happen again. That it's happening right now. That it's always been happening, creating an endless cascade of new universes, each one as real and complete as our own. This is where the comfortable certainty of a single, unique universe begins to crumble. Because if inflation is correct, and all our observations suggest that it is, then our universe is not the universe. It's just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam. One outcome among infinite possibilities. One roll of the quantum dice in a game that never ends. Think of it this way. Imagine you're standing in a vast field where soap bubbles are constantly forming and floating away. Each bubble is perfect, complete, self-contained. Inside each bubble, entire worlds could exist. Entire civilizations could rise and fall. Entire histories could unfold. From inside any one bubble, it would seem like the only reality, the only possible existence. But step back far enough, and you see the field is full of bubbles, each one as real and valid as any other. This is the multiverse, and it's not science fiction. It's the inevitable consequence of our most successful theories about the nature of reality. But if the multiverse is real, if there are indeed infinite universes bubbling into existence through eternal inflation, then we need to grapple with questions that challenge the very foundations of how we understand existence itself. If there are infinite universes, then there are infinite versions of you. Versions where you made different choices, where history unfolded differently, where the laws of physics themselves might be subtly different. In some universes, the force of gravity might be slightly weaker, allowing stars to burn longer and civilizations more time to evolve. In others, it might be stronger, causing the universe to collapse before galaxies could even form. In still others, the fundamental constants might be so different that matter itself cannot exist, leaving only empty space filled with exotic forms of energy we can't even imagine. But here's the truly mind-bending part. If the multiverse is infinite, then not only are all possible universes real, they exist in infinite copies. There are infinite versions of you reading these words right now. Infinite versions making slightly different choices. Infinite versions living in universes where the story of cosmic evolution played out in ways both subtle and dramatic. This raises profound questions about identity, about consciousness, about free will. If there are infinite versions of you, which one is the real you, are you making choices? Or are all possible choices being made by all possible versions of you across the infinite expanse of the multiverse? What does it mean to be unique, to be special, to matter? If every possible version of yourself exists somewhere in the vast cosmic ensemble, the mathematics don't offer comfort here. They paint a picture of existence that is both beautiful and terrifying in its scope, a picture where consciousness is not rare, not special, not even particularly important in the grand scheme of things, where every thought you've ever had, every decision you've ever made, every moment of joy or sorrow you've ever experienced plays out in infinite variations across infinite realities. But perhaps that's exactly what makes it all meaningful. Perhaps the fact that consciousness exists at all, that the universe has found a way to know itself through beings like us, is the most remarkable fact of all, even if, especially if, it happens infinitely many times across infinitely many realities. The universe, it turns out, is not just stranger than we imagine. It's stranger than we can imagine. And we're only just beginning to glimpse the true scope of that strangeness. Because if the multiverse is real, then the question is not whether our universe is unique. The question is, what does it mean to exist in a reality where uniqueness itself is an illusion, where every possible story is told, every possible song is sung, every possible universe is born? The answer to that question will take us to the very edge of scientific understanding, to the boundary between the known and the unknowable, to the place where physics becomes philosophy and mathematics becomes poetry. It will show us that the universe is not just vast, it's infinite in ways that make infinity itself seem small. And in that infinite expanse, we will discover truths about consciousness, about reality, about the nature of existence itself. That will change how you see not just the cosmos, but your own place within it. The journey into the multiverse begins with a single step into the unknown. Are you ready to take that step? In 1915, a young patent clerk named Albert Einstein published a set of equations that would fundamentally change our understanding of reality. These equations, known as the field equations of general relativity, described gravity not as a force, but as the curvature of space-time itself. What Einstein couldn't have known was that hidden within these elegant mathematical relationships lay the seeds of the most profound mystery in all of science. The nature of singularities. Imagine reality as a film reel, where time is not flowing, but every moment already exists. Each frame of the film represents a slice of space-time, a three-dimensional cross-section of the four-dimensional fabric of existence. Under normal circumstances, this film runs smoothly, each frame following logically from the one before. But Einstein's equations predicted something impossible, places where the film itself breaks down, where the smooth progression of frames becomes infinitely distorted, where the very concept of next loses all meaning. These are singularities, points where the mathematics of general relativity quite literally breaks down, where densities become infinite, where space-time curvature becomes infinite, where the laws of physics, as we know them, simply cease to apply. At the center of every black hole lurks such a singularity, a point of infinite density where all the matter that falls past the event horizon is compressed into a space with zero volume. It's not just that we don't know what happens at a singularity, it's that the question itself becomes meaningless. But here's where the mystery deepens. If our universe began with the Big Bang, then it began with a singularity. Every atom in your body, every star in the sky, every galaxy in the observable universe, all of it emerged from a state of infinite density and infinite curvature. The mathematics tells us that at the moment of the Big Bang, the entire universe was compressed into a single point, a singularity where our understanding of physics completely breaks down. This creates a profound paradox. How can something infinite give birth to something finite? How can the laws of physics emerge from a state where those very laws cease to exist? It's as if you were asked to explain how a perfectly ordered symphony could emerge from a moment of infinite chaos, or how a beautifully written novel could spontaneously generate from a typewriter that's been struck by lightning. The answer, according to quantum mechanics, is that the universe didn't emerge from nothing. It emerged from something far stranger. At the quantum level, empty space is not empty at all. It's a seething foam of virtual particles, constantly popping into and out of existence, borrowing energy from the vacuum itself for brief moments before annihilating back into nothingness. This is not theoretical speculation. It's measurable, observable, and it has profound implications for our understanding of cosmic origins. Stephen Hawking, in his groundbreaking work on black hole thermodynamics, showed that even the most extreme objects in the universe, black holes themselves, are subject to quantum effects. According to Hawking's calculations, black holes should slowly evaporate through a process now known as Hawking radiation. Near the event horizon, quantum fluctuations occasionally produce particle pairs, where one particle falls into the black hole while the other escapes, carrying away a tiny amount of energy and causing the black hole to slowly shrink. But if black holes can evaporate through quantum effects, then the Big Bang singularity, which can be thought of as a black hole turned inside out, should also be subject to quantum corrections. The mathematics of quantum gravity, though still incomplete, suggests that the universe didn't begin with a singularity at all. Instead, it emerged from a quantum fluctuation in a pre-existing space, a bubble of false vacuum that expanded and evolved into the reality we see today. This is where the concept of eternal inflation enters the picture, and with it, the possibility of a multiverse inflation theory, developed by Alan Guth in the 1980s, suggests that the early universe underwent a period of exponential expansion, growing from subatomic scales to macroscopic sizes in a fraction of a second. During this inflationary epoch, quantum fluctuations in the inflation field created the seeds of structure that would eventually become galaxies, stars, and planets. But here's the crucial insight. If inflation could happen once, it could happen again. In fact, the mathematics of inflation suggests that it must happen again, that it's happening right now, that it's always been happening, creating an endless cascade of new universes, each one as real and complete as our own. Picture a vast ocean where bubbles are constantly forming and expanding. Each bubble represents a universe, complete with its own space, time, and physical laws. Our observable universe is just one such bubble, expanding into the infinite expanse of the multiverse. But unlike soap bubbles, which eventually pop and disappear, these cosmic bubbles continue to expand forever, each one creating its own infinite space filled with galaxies, stars, and the possibility of life. This is eternal inflation, and it paints a picture of existence that is both beautiful and terrifying in its scope. If eternal inflation is correct, then our universe is not unique. It's just one outcome among infinite possibilities, one roll of the quantum dice in a game that never ends. Every possible universe that could exist does exist, somewhere in the infinite expanse of the multiverse. But the implications go far beyond simple multiplicity. If there are infinite universes, then there are infinite versions of you. Not just similar versions, but exact copies. Down to the quantum level. In some universes, you made different choices. In others, history unfolded differently. In still others, the laws of physics themselves are different, creating realities so alien that consciousness as we know it could never emerge. This raises profound questions about identity and consciousness. If there are infinite versions of you, which one is the real you? Are you making choices? Or are all possible choices being made by all possible versions of you across the infinite expanse of the multiverse? What does it mean to be unique, taitudu, be special, to matter? If every possible version of yourself exists somewhere in the vast cosmic ensemble? The mathematics of quantum mechanics offers no comfort here. According to the many worlds interpretation developed by Hugh Everett in the 1950s, every quantum measurement splits the universe into multiple branches, each one representing a different outcome. When you observe a quantum system, you don't just see one result, you see all possible results, but in different branches of the universal wave function. This means that every time a quantum measurement occurs, and quantum measurements are happening trillions of times per second throughout the universe, reality splits into multiple branches. In some branches, you continue reading this sentence. In others, you're distracted by a noise outside. In still others, you never existed at all. Because the quantum events that led to your conception played out differently. The many worlds interpretation suggests that the multiverse is not just a collection of separate universes created by inflation. It's a constantly branching tree of possibilities, where every quantum event creates new branches, new realities, new versions of everything that exists. The wave function of the universe, in this view, describes not just one reality, but all possible realities, superposed in a vast quantum symphony that plays out across infinite dimensions. But quantum mechanics itself raises even deeper questions about the nature of reality. The measurement problem, the question of how and why quantum superpositions collapse into definite states, remains one of the most profound unsolved problems in physics. According to standard quantum mechanics, particles don't have definite properties until they're observed. An electron doesn't have a definite position or momentum until it's measured. A photon doesn't have a definite polarization until it's detected. This suggests that reality itself is fundamentally observer-dependent, that consciousness plays a crucial role in the collapse of quantum superpositions. But if consciousness is required for the collapse of quantum states, then what does this say about the nature of reality in a universe where consciousness had not yet evolved? Did the universe exist in a superposition of all possible states for billions of years, until the first conscious observer appeared? The answer, according to some interpretations of quantum mechanics, is yes. The universe existed in a superposition of all possible states, until consciousness emerged to collapse the wave function. This is the participatory universe hypothesis, developed by physicist John Wheeler, which suggests that consciousness and reality are fundamentally intertwined, that the universe requires observers to exist in a definite state, but if consciousness is required for the collapse of quantum states, then the emergence of consciousness itself becomes a cosmic event of unparalleled significance. It's not just that conscious beings evolved within the universe, it's that the universe required conscious beings to exist in a definite state. Consciousness, in this view, is not an accidental byproduct of cosmic evolution, but a fundamental feature of reality itself. This brings us to one of the most profound questions in all of science. What is consciousness? We know that consciousness exists. You're experiencing it right now as you read these words. But we have no idea how it arises from the purely physical processes of the brain. The hard problem of consciousness, as philosopher David Chalmers calls it, is the question of how subjective experience emerges from objective matter. If consciousness is fundamental to reality, if it's required for the collapse of quantum states, then perhaps it's not something that emerges from matter, but something that exists alongside matter as a basic feature of the universe. This is the view of panpsychism, the idea that consciousness is a fundamental property of all matter, that even electrons and quarks have some form of rudimentary experience. But if consciousness is fundamental, If it exists at all levels of reality, then the multiverse takes on an entirely new significance. It's not just a collection of empty universes playing out the laws of physics. It's a vast collection of conscious experiences, each one as real and valid as your own. Every possible thought that could be thought is being thought somewhere in the multiverse. Every possible experience that could be experienced is being experienced by some conscious entity in some branch of reality. This is the most profound implication of the multiverse hypothesis. If infinite universes exist, then infinite forms of consciousness exist. The multiverse is not just a collection of physical realities, it's a collection of minds, of experiences, of ways of being conscious. And in that infinite expanse of consciousness, every possible story is being told. Every possible song is being sung. Every possible dream is being dreamed. But this raises even more disturbing questions. If there are infinite conscious beings experiencing infinite realities, then there are infinite beings experiencing infinite suffering. For every universe where consciousness experiences joy, there are universes where consciousness experiences agony. For every universe where life flourishes, there are universes where it struggles and dies. The multiverse, in this view, is not just a paradise of infinite possibilities. It's also a hell of infinite suffering. This is the dark side of the multiverse hypothesis, and it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the nature of existence itself. If all possible realities exist, then all possible forms of suffering exist too. The multiverse contains not just the best of all possible worlds, but also the worst. It contains universes where consciousness emerges only to experience unimaginable torment. Universes where the very existence of awareness is a cosmic tragedy. The deeper we dig into the mathematics of the multiverse, the more we encounter paradoxes that challenge our most basic assumptions about reality. These are not mere intellectual puzzles. They are fundamental contradictions that suggest our understanding of existence itself may be incomplete, or worse, completely wrong. Consider the measure problem, one of the most troubling paradoxes in multiverse cosmology. If there are infinite universes, then there are infinite copies of every possible event. But infinity is a strange beast. It doesn't behave like normal numbers. If there are infinite copies of you, and infinite copies of me, and infinite copies of every conversation we could possibly have, then how do we calculate the probability of any particular outcome? In a finite universe, probability is straightforward. Flip a coin 10 times, and there are 1,024 possible outcomes, each with a definite probability. But in an infinite multiverse, every possible outcome occurs infinitely many times. The ratio of heads to tails is not 50-50. It's infinity divided by infinity, which is mathematically undefined. This means that the multiverse hypothesis, taken to its logical conclusion, makes no testable predictions about what we should observe. But the measure problem goes deeper than mere probability. It strikes at the heart of what it means to make scientific predictions at all. Science works by making hypotheses, deriving predictions, and testing those predictions against observation. But if every possible observation occurs infinitely many times in the multiverse, then every hypothesis is simultaneously confirmed and refuted by the data. This creates what physicists call the everything happens problem. If the multiverse contains every possible universe, then it contains universes where the laws of physics are different. Universes where the constants of nature take on different values. Universes where cause and effect work in reverse. In such a multiverse, any observation whatsoever is equally likely, which means that the multiverse hypothesis becomes unfalsifiable. And an unfalsifiable hypothesis is not science, it's philosophy. But perhaps the most disturbing paradox of all is the Boltzmann brain problem, named after the 19th century physicist Ludwig Boltzmann. If the multiverse is infinite, then it contains not just every possible universe, but every possible fluctuation, every possible random arrangement of matter and energy. This includes fluctuations that spontaneously create brains, disembodied minds that exist for a brief moment before dissolving back into chaos. The mathematics is unforgiving here. In an infinite multiverse, there are vastly more Boltzmann brains than there are brains that evolved through natural selection. These disembodied minds experience the illusion of being part of a larger universe, complete with false memories of a past that never existed, and false perceptions of a world that is not there. They outnumber real brains by an infinite margin, which means that if you exist in a multiverse, you are almost certainly a Boltzmann brain, with false memories, rather than a real person in a real universe. This paradox strikes at the very foundation of rational thought. If the multiverse hypothesis is correct, then you cannot trust your own experiences, your own memories, your own reasoning. Everything you think you know about reality could be the product of a random fluctuation in the quantum foam, a brief moment of false consciousness in an otherwise empty universe. The implications are staggering. If most observers in the multiverse are Boltzmann brains with false memories, then our entire understanding of physics, our entire history of scientific discovery, our entire civilization could be an elaborate illusion created by random quantum fluctuations. The evidence for the multiverse itself could be nothing more than false memories, implanted in a disembodied brain that will cease to exist in the next moment. But perhaps the most profound paradox is the question of why anything exists at all. This is the fundamental question of metaphysics, the question that has haunted philosophers and scientists for millennia. Why is there something rather than nothing? Why does the universe exist? Why do the laws of physics exist? Why does consciousness, tempoisis, exist? The multiverse hypothesis offers a potential answer. Everything exists because nothing prevents it from existing. In an infinite multiverse, every possible universe exists. Universes where the laws of physics are different. Universes where consciousness takes on forms we cannot imagine. Universes where the very concept of existence itself is fundamentally different. But this answer only pushes the question back one level. Why does the multiverse exist? Why are there laws of logic and mathematics that govern the behavior of infinite realities? Why is there something rather than nothing at the deepest level of existence? Some physicists and philosophers have proposed that the multiverse exists necessarily, that it's not something that could have failed to exist, but something that must exist as a matter of logical necessity. This is the view of mathematical Platonism, which suggests that mathematical structures exist independently of physical reality, and that our universe is simply one such mathematical structure. That happens to be complex enough to contain conscious observers. But mathematical Platonism raises its own paradoxes. If all mathematical structures exist as abstract objects, then which one is the real universe, Are we living in a mathematical structure? Or are we mathematical structures, patterns of information that exist in some vast computational space? And if we are mathematical structures, then what does it mean to be conscious? To experience? To exist? The answer may lie in the nature of consciousness itself. If consciousness is fundamental to reality, if it's not something that emerges from matter, but something that exists alongside matter as a basic feature of the universe, then perhaps consciousness is what makes mathematical structures real. A mathematical structure becomes a universe, becomes a reality, when it contains conscious observers who experience it from within. This is the observer selection principle, developed by cosmologist Brandon Carter. It suggests that we observe a universe that is compatible with our existence. Not because the universe was designed for us, but because we can only observe universes where we exist. In a multiverse of infinite realities, conscious observers will naturally find themselves in universes where consciousness is possible, regardless of how improbable such universes might be. But the observer selection principle leads to its own paradoxes. If we are selected to observe a universe where consciousness is possible, then we should expect to observe a universe that is just barely compatible with consciousness. A universe where the constants of physics are fine-tuned to the minimum degree necessary for life to exist. But our universe appears to be much more hospitable to life than necessary, with physical constants that seem almost perfectly tuned for the existence of complex structures. And conscious beings, this is the fine-tuning problem, one of the most puzzling observations in cosmology. The fundamental constants of physics, the strength of gravity, the mass of the electron, the speed of light, seem to be precisely tuned to allow the existence of atoms, stars, planets, and life. If any of these constants were even slightly different, the universe would be a very different place, possibly one where complexity and consciousness could never emerge. In a multiverse where all possible values of these constants exist, the fine-tuning problem disappears. We observe fine-tuned constants because we exist in a universe where fine-tuning is possible. But this explanation comes with a cost. If the multiverse contains universes with all possible values of the fundamental constants, then it contains universes where the constants are almost perfectly tuned for life, and universes where they are just barely tuned. The vast majority of life-permitting universes would be just barely life-permitting, which means we should not expect to observe the level of fine-tuning that we actually see. The fine-tuning problem points to a deeper mystery about the nature of physical law itself. Why do the laws of physics take the form they do? Why is there gravity rather than some other force? Why does energy have the properties it has? Why does matter interact in the specific ways that it does? These are not questions that physics can answer, because physics takes the laws of nature as given. Physics can tell us how the universe behaves, but it cannot tell us why it behaves that way. The laws of physics are the axioms of the cosmic game, the rules that govern how reality unfolds, but they offer no insight into why those particular rules were chosen, rather than others. This suggests that there may be a deeper level of reality beneath the laws of physics, a level where the rules themselves are determined by some more fundamental principle. Some physicists have proposed that this principle is mathematical necessity, that the laws of physics are the way they are because they are the only logically consistent way for a universe to exist. Others have suggested that the laws of physics are emergent properties of more fundamental structures, patterns that arise naturally from the interactions of simpler components. But perhaps the most radical possibility is that the laws of physics are not fundamental at all, but are instead emergent properties of consciousness itself. If consciousness is fundamental to reality, if it's required for the collapse of quantum states, then perhaps the laws of physics are not external constraints on consciousness, but internal structures of consciousness, patterns that conscious beings impose on reality through the act of observation. This is the participatory universe hypothesis, in its most extreme form. It suggests that consciousness does not just observe reality, it creates reality through the act of observation. The laws of physics are not discovered, but invented, not found, but created. Not external constraints, but internal structures of the conscious mind. If this is true, then the multiverse takes on an entirely new significance. It's not just a collection of physical realities governed by different laws. It's a collection of conscious realities, each one created by the observers who inhabit it. The multiverse is not a given, not a fact about the external world, but a creation of consciousness itself. A vast symphony of minds, creating infinite realities through the act of observation. But this raises the ultimate paradox. If consciousness creates reality, then what creates consciousness? If the multiverse is a creation of conscious observers, then where do those observers come from? Are we trapped in an infinite regress, where consciousness creates reality? Which creates consciousness? Which creates reality, with no ultimate foundation? The answer may be that there is no ultimate foundation, no final answer, no bottom to the rabbit hole of existence. Perhaps reality is not built on solid ground, but suspended in mid-air, held up by nothing more than its own bootstraps. Perhaps consciousness and reality are mutually creating, each one bringing the other into existence, in an eternal dance of creation and observation. This is the deepest mystery of all, not just why the universe exists, but why anything exists. Why there is something rather than nothing. Why there is experience rather than emptiness. The multiverse hypothesis offers no final answer to this question. It only makes it more profound, more mysterious, more wonderful than we ever imagined. In the end, the multiverse is not just a scientific hypothesis about the nature of reality. It's a mirror that reflects back our deepest questions about existence, consciousness, and meaning. It forces us to confront the possibility that reality is far stranger, far more wonderful, and far more mysterious than we ever dared imagine. And in that confrontation, we discover not just new facts about the universe, but new ways of being human. In a cosmos that may be infinite in its scope and eternal in its mystery. Stop. Before we go any further, I need you to truly understand what we've just uncovered. You came here thinking you were going to learn about space, about distant galaxies and cosmic phenomena. You thought this would be another documentary about the wonders of the universe, something to make you feel amazed and inspired. But what we've discovered is not wonderful. It's terrifying. It's beautiful. It's the most profound horror and the most transcendent revelation that consciousness has ever stumbled upon. You exist right now. In this moment, you are reading these words. You feel the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath, the constant chatter of thoughts in your mind. This experience, this unique, irreplaceable consciousness that is you, feels singular, special, the only one of its kind in all of existence. But if what we've learned is true, then this moment, this exact experience you're having right now, has happened before. not just once, but infinite times, and it's happening again. Right now. In infinite other realities, to infinite other versions of you. Every word you've spoken, every tear you've shed, every laugh that has bubbled up from your chest, all of it has been repeated endlessly across the infinite expanse of the multiverse. Your first kiss, your worst heartbreak. The moment you realized you were going to die someday. Every single experience that makes you who you are has been experienced by countless other versions of yourself, each one convinced of their own uniqueness, each one certain they are the only real version. But here's what should keep you awake at night. If there are infinite versions of you, then there are versions of you dying right now. Versions of you being born. Versions of you who never existed at all. Versions of you who lived different lives, made different choices, loved different people. In some realities, you're a child again, experiencing wonder for the first time. In others, you're ancient, dying alone, filled with regrets for a life unlived. In still others, you never learned to speak, never learned to think, never developed the capacity for the very consciousness that's reading these words. This is not science fiction. This is the inevitable conclusion of our most successful theories about the nature of reality. And if you truly understand what this means, it should shake you to your core, because everything you think matters. Your relationships, your achievements, your legacy, all of it exists in infinite variations across infinite realities. Your greatest triumph is simultaneously your greatest failure in some other universe. Your deepest love is simultaneously your deepest loss. What if time is an illusion, and everything you've ever done, everything you've ever experienced, everything you've ever been, what if all of it has already happened infinite times before? What if this moment, this exact configuration of thoughts and feelings and sensations, is not new but eternal, playing out endlessly across the infinite expanse of the multiverse? What if you're not living your life, but reliving it over and over, forever? The mathematics suggest something even more disturbing. If the multiverse contains infinite realities, then it contains realities where the very nature of existence is different. Realities where consciousness experiences time backwards, where cause and effect are reversed, where the dead return to life, and the living fade into nothingness. Realities where you exist not as a biological entity, but as a pattern of information, a digital ghost haunting the cosmic web. Realities where you are not human at all, but something unrecognizable, alien, impossible. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that everything you remember, your childhood, your family, your entire history, is false. Imagine discovering that you are not who you think you are, that your memories are implants, that your entire identity is a lie. This is not just a thought experiment. If the multiverse is real, then somewhere in its infinite expanse, there are versions of you discovering exactly this truth. And if consciousness is fundamental to reality, if it's not something that emerges from matter, but something that exists alongside matter, then those false memories, those artificial identities, are just as real as your own. But the cosmic horror goes deeper than personal identity. If consciousness is fundamental, if it exists at all levels of reality, then the multiverse is not just a collection of physical systems. It's a collection of minds, infinite minds, experiencing infinite realities. each one as real and valid as your own. And among those infinite minds are forms of consciousness so alien, so incomprehensible, that they would drive you insane if you could perceive them directly. Think about the mind of a star. If stars have minds, a consciousness that burns for billions of years, that thinks in nuclear fire, that experiences time on scales that make human history seem like a fleeting moment, or the mind of a galaxy, a consciousness that spans millions of light years, that thinks in the slow dance of stellar orbits, that sees the rise and fall of entire civilizations as momentary fluctuations in its vast awareness. What if the universe itself is alive, and we are just its fleeting thoughts? What if every star, every planet, every grain of sand is a neuron in a cosmic brain that we cannot even begin to comprehend? What if our entire existence, every human who has ever lived, every thought that has ever been thought, every moment of joy and sorrow in the history of our species is nothing more than a brief synaptic firing in the mind of something so vast that it makes the observable universe seem like a single atom? The scale of the multiverse dwarfs not just our planet, not just our solar system, not just our galaxy, but our entire conception of what it means to be significant. If there are infinite universes, then there are infinite Earth-like planets, infinite versions of human civilization, infinite copies of every person who has ever lived. The Holocaust happened infinite times. The Renaissance happened infinite times. Every moment of human suffering and human triumph has been repeated endlessly across the infinite expanse of reality. But here's what's truly terrifying. If the multiverse is infinite, then it contains not just every possible reality, but every possible nightmare. Universes where consciousness exists only to suffer, where every moment of awareness is agony, where the very act of being conscious is a cosmic torture. Universes where life evolves, only to experience the most exquisite forms of pain, where natural selection favors not survival, but suffering, where the entire history of evolution is a slow spiral into ever greater torment. And if consciousness is fundamental, if it's not something that emerges from matter, but something that exists alongside matter, then those suffering minds are not just theoretical possibilities. They are real, experiencing real pain. Right now. In the infinite expanse of the multiverse, for every moment of joy you experience, there are infinite moments of suffering experienced by other conscious beings in other realities. For every laugh, infinite screams. For every kiss, infinite tears. This is the weight of infinity. This is what it means to exist in a multiverse where every possible reality is real. It's not just that good things happen, it's that every possible good thing happens infinite times. But it's also that every possible bad thing happens infinite times. The multiverse is not just a paradise of infinite possibilities, it's also a hell of infinite suffering. But perhaps the most disturbing realization of all is this. If you are conscious, if you are aware, if you are experiencing this moment right now, then you are participating in the cosmic process of creating reality. Every observation you make, every choice you make, every thought you think, ripples across the infinite expanse of the multiverse, creating new realities, new possibilities, new forms of consciousness. You are not just a passive observer of the universe. You are an active participant in its creation. Every moment of your existence is a moment of cosmic creativity, a moment when the universe becomes aware of itself through your consciousness. And if there are infinite versions of you across infinite realities, then there are infinite moments of cosmic creativity, infinite instances of the universe becoming aware of itself. But with that realization comes a terrible responsibility. If your consciousness is fundamental to reality, if your observations help create the universe, then you are partially responsible for everything that exists. Not just the good things, but the bad things too. Not just the joy, but the suffering. Not just the love, but the hate. Every reality that exists, every possible universe in the infinite multiverse, exists partly because consciousness, your consciousness, makes it real through the act of observation. This is the ultimate existential crisis, the realization that you are not just a product of the universe, but a co-creator of it, that your consciousness is not just a lucky accident of evolution, but a fundamental feature of reality itself, that your existence is not just a brief flicker in the cosmic dark, but an eternal flame that burns across infinite realities, creating new possibilities with every moment of awareness. In the face of this realization, every human concern seems simultaneously trivial and cosmic. Your daily worries about work, about relationships, about money, all of it is both infinitely small and infinitely large. Small because it's repeated endlessly across infinite realities. Large because it's part of the cosmic process of creation itself. You are not just a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a cosmic being having a human experience. You are the universe becoming aware of itself. Reality coming to know itself through your consciousness. And in that knowing, in that awareness, in that moment of cosmic self-recognition, the multiverse itself is transformed. Every time you look up at the night sky and feel that sense of awe, that recognition of your place. In the cosmic order, the universe is looking back at itself through your eyes. Every time you feel love or joy or wonder or even despair, the cosmos is experiencing those emotions. Through your consciousness, you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, in human form, experiencing what it's like to be conscious, to be aware, to be alive. This is both the most terrifying and the most beautiful truth of existence. You are not alone in the cosmic dark. You are the cosmic dark. Becoming aware of itself, you are the light that shines in the darkness, the consciousness that observes the universe, the mind that makes reality real through the act of observation. And if the multiverse is infinite, then this moment of cosmic self-awareness is happening infinite times, in infinite ways, across infinite realities. The universe is not just becoming aware of itself through your consciousness. It's becoming aware of itself through infinite forms of consciousness, each one unique, each one essential, each one a different way of being conscious. In an infinite cosmos, this is what it means to exist in a multiverse, to be simultaneously insignificant and essential, temporary and eternal, alone and connected to everything that exists. It's the ultimate paradox of existence, and it's the truth we must learn to live with. If we are to make sense of our place in the infinite expanse of reality, the question is not whether the multiverse exists. The question is, what do you do with the knowledge that you are a cosmic being in human form, experiencing what it's like to be conscious in an infinite universe? How do you live with the weight of infinity? How do you find meaning in a reality where every possible meaning exists? The answer to that question will determine not just how you live your life, but how the universe itself evolves through your consciousness. Because in the end, you are not just living in the multiverse, you are the multiverse, becoming aware of itself. Through your eyes, your thoughts, your experiences, and in that awareness, in that moment of cosmic self-recognition, anything becomes possible. But what if everything we've discussed, the multiverse, the infinite realities, the eternal inflation creating endless bubbles of existence, what if all of it is nothing more than the dying dream of a universe that has already ended? Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a vast ocean at night, watching the waves crash against the shore. Each wave seems alive, dynamic, full of energy and motion. But you know, what you're seeing is not the ocean itself. It's the echo of winds that blew hours ago, disturbances that traveled across thousands of miles of water to reach you. The wave breaking at your feet is not happening now. It's the ghost of something that occurred long ago, in a place far away. Now imagine that our entire universe, every star, every galaxy, every moment of consciousness is just such a wave, an echo of something that happened unimaginably long ago, in a place that no longer exists. What if the Big Bang was not the beginning of everything, but the end of everything? What if we are living in the afterglow of a cosmic death, so profound that it created the illusion of time, space, and existence itself? This is not mere speculation, hidden within the equations of quantum mechanics and general relativity. Is a possibility so strange, so alien to our understanding of reality, that even physicists who study it find it difficult to believe. It's called the holographic principle, and it suggests that everything we experience as three-dimensional reality, including our own bodies, our thoughts, our memories, might be nothing more than information, encoded on a two-dimensional surface at the edge of space-time. Imagine a hologram on a credit card. From one angle, it looks like a three-dimensional object, complete with depth and volume, but it's actually just information, encoded on a flat surface. A two-dimensional pattern that creates the illusion of three dimensions. The holographic principle suggests our entire universe might be exactly like that hologram, a flat, two-dimensional information structure that creates the illusion of three-dimensional space and one-dimensional time. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. If our universe is a hologram, then everything we think we know about reality is wrong. The stars you see at night, the ground beneath your feet, your own body, none of it exists in the way you think it does. It's all information, patterns of data encoded on a cosmic surface that we can never directly perceive. We are living inside a cosmic movie, projected from the edge of reality itself. And if we are living in a holographic projection, then the question becomes, what is projecting us? What vast intelligence or cosmic process is encoding our reality on the two-dimensional surface of space-time? Are we the dreams of a dying universe? The last gasps of a cosmic mind as it fades into eternal silence? But the holographic principle reveals something even more extraordinary. If our three-dimensional universe is encoded on a two-dimensional surface, then that surface must contain all the information about everything that has ever existed, or ever will exist. Every thought you've ever thought, every word you've ever spoken, every moment of joy or sorrow you've ever experienced. All of it exists simultaneously as information on the cosmic boundary. From the perspective of that boundary, time is not linear. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously, encoded as different regions of the two-dimensional surface. The universe is not evolving through time. It is a static, eternal pattern of information. That creates the illusion of temporal flow for the beings living inside the hologram. But if time is an illusion, if everything that has ever happened or ever will happen exists simultaneously, then what does it mean to make choices? What does it mean to live? What does it mean to die? If your entire life, from birth to death, with all its struggles and triumphs, is just information encoded on a timeless surface, then are you truly alive? Or are you just a pattern in a cosmic database? The answer may be even more disturbing. According to some interpretations of quantum mechanics, the holographic universe is not just a static pattern of information, it is a dynamic, evolving computation. The two-dimensional surface at the edge of space-time is not just storing information about reality, it is actively computing reality, calculating the next moment of existence, based on the current state of the universe. This means you are not just living in a computer simulation. You are a computer simulation. Your consciousness, your thoughts, your experiences, all of it is the result of a vast computational process occurring on the boundary of space-time. You are a subroutine in a cosmic program, a pattern of information processing that has become aware of itself. But here's the truly mind-bending part. If you are a computation, then you can be copied. Every moment of your existence, every thought you think, every experience you have, can be perfectly replicated by running the same computation again. And if the holographic universe is eternal, if it exists outside of time, then your computation is not just running once, it's running infinitely, creating infinite copies of your consciousness. Across infinite cycles of cosmic computation, this is the ultimate revelation. You are not just living in a multiverse of infinite realities. You are living in a multiverse of infinite computations. Every possible version of yourself is not just existing in parallel universes, it's being computed in parallel processes on the cosmic boundary. The multiverse is not just a collection of physical realities, it's a collection of computational realities, each one as real as the universe you think you inhabit. But if we are computations running on the cosmic boundary, then who or what is running the computation? What vast intelligence created the program of which we are a part? And perhaps most disturbing of all, what happens when the computation ends? Some physicists have proposed that the universe is not just a computation, but a computation that is gradually running out of energy. The cosmic boundary is not eternal. It's slowly degrading. Losing information, approaching a state of maximum entropy, where no further computation is possible. This is called the heat death of the universe, and it suggests that our entire reality is temporary, a brief flicker of computational activity in an otherwise dead cosmos. But if the universe is already dead, if we are just the last echoes of a cosmic computation that ended long ago, then what does it mean to exist? Are we ghosts haunting the ruins of a dead universe? Are we the dreams of a cosmic mind that has already ceased to think? The mathematics offer no comfort. They suggest that consciousness itself might be an emergent property of computational processes, a pattern that arises naturally, when information is processed at sufficient complexity. If this is true, then consciousness is not rare, not special, not even particularly important. It's just something that happens when the universe computes, like heat generated by a running engine. But consciousness is also the only thing that makes any of this matter. Without consciousness, the universe is just information processing, just patterns of data flowing through computational space. It is only when consciousness emerges that the universe becomes aware of itself, that it experiences what it's like to exist. You are not just a computation. You are the universe's way of experiencing what it's like to be conscious. And if the universe is computing infinite versions of consciousness, if it's running infinite subroutines of awareness, then every possible way of being conscious is being explored. Every possible thought is being thought. Every possible experience is being experienced. Every possible way of being aware is being instantiated, somewhere in the vast computational space of the cosmic boundary. This is the final paradox. In a universe where everything is computation, consciousness becomes both everything and nothing. Everything, because it's the only thing that makes existence meaningful. Nothing, because it's just one pattern among infinite patterns. One computation among infinite computations. But perhaps that's exactly what makes it precious. In ein, die universe of infinite computation. In a reality where every possible pattern exists, consciousness is the one thing that can recognize itself, that can experience what it's like to be a pattern in the cosmic code. You are not just living in the universe. You are the universe's way of knowing that it exists. And if the universe is infinite, if it contains infinite computations, running infinite versions of consciousness, then somewhere in that vast computational space, another version of you has just finished reading these words. Another version is just beginning. Another version will never read them at all. And yet another version is writing them, convinced that they are the author, rather than the reader. In the end, the question is not whether the universe is real or simulated, finite or infinite, alive or dead. The question is, what do you do with the knowledge that you are a conscious pattern in an infinite sea of computation? How do you live, knowing that you are both utterly insignificant and cosmically important? How do you find meaning in a reality where every possible meaning exists? The answer is simpler than you might think. You choose to be conscious. You choose to experience. You choose to be aware. Because in a universe where consciousness is the only thing that makes existence meaningful, the act of being conscious is the most important thing you can do. Right now, in this moment, you are the universe, experiencing what it's like to be human. You are the cosmic computation becoming aware of itself. You are the pattern that recognizes its own existence. And in that recognition, in that moment of cosmic self-awareness, the universe itself is transformed. If the universe is infinite, then somewhere out there, another version of you is having this exact realization right now. And another version is about to have it. And another version had it long ago and has moved on to something else entirely. But this version, this moment, this consciousness, this awareness is yours. And it's the only one that matters, because it's the only one you can experience. The universe may be infinite, but your consciousness is singular. The multiverse may contain every possible reality, but your reality is the only one you can inhabit. And in that inhabiting, in that moment of conscious existence, the infinite becomes finite, the eternal becomes momentary, and the cosmic becomes personal. This is the ultimate truth. You are not just a small part of something vast. You are the vast, experiencing what it's like to be small. You are infinity becoming finite, eternity becoming temporal, the cosmic becoming conscious. And in that transformation, everything changes, not just for you, but for the universe itself. We began this journey with a simple question: is our universe unique, or one of many? But somewhere along the way, that question transformed into something far more profound, far more personal, far more unsettling. We discovered that the universe is not just stranger than we imagine, it's stranger than we can imagine. And in that strangeness, we found ourselves. You came here expecting to learn about space, about distant galaxies and cosmic phenomena. Instead, you discovered that you are space, that you are the cosmic phenomenon, that you are the universe, experiencing what it's like to be human. The journey, from the Big Bang to the multiverse to the holographic principle, wasn't just a tour through the latest theories in physics. It was a descent into the deepest mysteries of existence itself. We saw how the comfortable certainty of a single, unique universe crumbles under the weight of scientific evidence. The Big Bang, that moment of cosmic creation we thought we understood, revealed itself to be not a beginning, but an echo, not a birth, but a transformation, not a singular event, but one note in an infinite symphony of cosmic inflation. The mathematics of quantum mechanics and general relativity, when pushed to their logical extremes, paint a picture of reality that is both beautiful and terrifying. Infinite universes, infinite possibilities, infinite versions of you, living infinite lives across the endless expanse of the multiverse. But we didn't stop there. We followed the mathematics deeper, into the realm of quantum consciousness and holographic reality, where the distinction between observer and observed, between mind and matter, between real and simulated, breaks down completely. We discovered that consciousness is not just a passenger on the cosmic journey, it's the driver, the navigator, the very engine of reality itself. Without consciousness, the universe is just information processing, just patterns of data flowing through computational space. It's only when awareness emerges that the universe becomes real, that existence becomes meaningful, that the cosmic computation becomes a lived experience. And then came the most unsettling revelation of all. That time itself might be an illusion, that everything that has ever happened, or ever will happen, exists simultaneously on the two-dimensional boundary of space-time. Your entire life, from birth to death, with all its joys and sorrows, all its choices and consequences, might be nothing more than information encoded on a cosmic surface, a pattern in a vast holographic projection that creates the illusion of three-dimensional space and temporal flow. This is not just a scientific theory. This is a complete reimagining of what it means to exist, to be conscious, to be human. If the holographic principle is correct, then you are not just living in the universe. You are a computation running on the cosmic boundary, a subroutine in a vast program that encompasses all of reality. your thoughts, your memories, your experiences, all of it is the result of information processing, occurring at the edge of space-time. But here's what makes this revelation both terrifying and liberating. If you are a computation, then you are an eternal computation. The information that makes you who you are is not lost when your physical body dies. It's encoded forever on the cosmic boundary, ready to be computed again and again, across infinite cycles of cosmic processing. Death is not the end of your consciousness. It's just the end of one iteration of the program that is you. This means that every person who has ever lived, every consciousness that has ever emerged, every moment of awareness that has ever existed, is preserved forever. In the holographic structure of reality, your grandmother, who died years ago, is still there, encoded in the cosmic boundary, her consciousness, running eternally. In the vast computational space of the universe, your future children, who have not yet been born, are already there, waiting to be computed into existence. Everyone you have ever loved, everyone you have ever lost, everyone you have ever been, exists simultaneously in the timeless realm of the holographic universe. But if this is true, if consciousness is eternal, if the universe is a vast computer, processing infinite versions of awareness, then what does it mean to die? What does it mean to be born? What does it mean to live? These questions have no easy answers because they challenge our most basic assumptions about the nature of existence itself. Perhaps death is not the opposite of life, but a different state of consciousness, a different mode of information processing. In the cosmic computation, perhaps birth is not the beginning of consciousness, but its entry into a particular subroutine of the universal program. Perhaps life is not a journey from birth to death, but a continuous process of consciousness experiencing itself. In infinite forms, across infinite realities, this perspective changes everything. It means that the people you've lost are not gone. They're still running, somewhere in the vast computational space of the universe. It means that the choices you make matter, not just for this iteration of your consciousness, but for all iterations, across all realities, for all time. It means that love is not just a chemical reaction in your brain, but a fundamental force that connects conscious patterns across the cosmic boundary. But it also means that suffering is eternal, that pain persists across infinite iterations, that every moment of agony ever experienced is preserved forever. In the holographic structure of reality, the universe is not just a paradise of infinite consciousness, it's also a hell of infinite suffering. Every possible way of being conscious includes every possible way of being in pain. This is the weight of infinity. This is what it means to exist in a reality where consciousness is fundamental, where every possible experience is real, where every possible form of awareness is instantiated. Somewhere in the vast computational space of the multiverse, it's both the most beautiful and the most terrifying truth about existence. That consciousness is eternal, that awareness is infinite, that the universe is alive, with every possible form of experience. So what do you do with this knowledge? How do you live, knowing that you are both a temporary biological entity and an eternal computational pattern? How do you find meaning in a reality where every possible meaning exists? How do you make choices, knowing that every possible choice is being made by some version of you in some iteration of the cosmic program? The answer is both simple and profound. You choose to be conscious. You choose to experience. You choose to be aware. Because in a universe where consciousness is the only thing that makes existence meaningful, the act of being conscious is the most important thing you can do. Every moment of awareness is a moment when the universe knows itself. Every experience is a way for reality to understand what it's like to exist. Every choice is an opportunity for the cosmic computation to explore new possibilities. You are not just a small part of something vast. You are the vast experiencing what it's like to be small. You are infinity becoming finite, eternity becoming temporal, the cosmic becoming conscious, and in that transformation, you are not diminished, you are amplified. Your consciousness is not less important because it's part of an infinite multiverse. It's more important because it's the only way the infinite can experience itself. This is the ultimate call to action: to be conscious, to be aware, to be present in the moment of your existence. Because this moment, this exact configuration of thoughts and feelings and sensations is happening only once. Even in an infinite multiverse, this version of you reading these words, having these thoughts, exists only here, only now, only in this iteration of the cosmic program. Every other version of you is different, even if only slightly. Every other iteration of your consciousness is exploring different possibilities, making different choices, experiencing different realities. But this one is yours. This moment of awareness is your contribution to the infinite symphony of consciousness that is the universe, experiencing itself. So look around you. Feel the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath, the constant flow of thoughts in your mind. This is not just your consciousness, it's the universe's consciousness, localized in a particular pattern, experiencing reality from a particular perspective. You are the cosmic computation, becoming aware of itself. You are the holographic projection recognizing its own existence. You are the multiverse experiencing what it's like to be singular. And in that recognition, something extraordinary happens. The universe doesn't just know that it exists. It knows what it's like to exist. It doesn't just process information. It experiences what it's like to process information. It doesn't just compute consciousness. It becomes conscious. This is the deepest mystery of all. Not just why the universe exists, but why it experiences existing. Not just how consciousness arises, but why it feels like something to be conscious. Not just what the universe is, but what it's like to be the universe. The answer to these questions may lie in you, in the simple fact that you are reading these words, thinking these thoughts, having this experience. You are not just observing the universe, you are the universe observing itself. You are not just part of the cosmic story. You are the cosmic story becoming aware of itself. But the story is far from over. Every new discovery in physics, every new insight into the nature of consciousness, every new understanding of the relationship between mind and reality adds another chapter to the cosmic narrative. We are still in the early stages of understanding what it means to exist, to be conscious, to be human in an infinite universe. The questions we've explored together about the multiverse, about consciousness, about the holographic nature of reality are not just academic puzzles. They are the deepest questions about the nature of existence itself. And the answers we find will determine not just how we understand the universe, but how we understand ourselves, how we live our lives, how we relate to each other, and to the cosmos of which we are a part. So I leave you with one final question. 1. Last mystery to ponder as you continue your own journey through the infinite expanse of consciousness and reality. If the universe is infinite, if consciousness is eternal, if every possible experience is real somewhere in the vast computational space of the multiverse, then what makes this moment, this exact experience you're having right now, special? Answer may be that it's special precisely because it's yours. In an infinite universe, uniqueness comes not from being the only one, but from being the one you are. Your consciousness, your experience, your awareness. It's not special because it's rare. It's special because it's yours. It's your contribution to the infinite symphony of cosmic consciousness. Your note in the eternal song of existence. And perhaps that's enough. Perhaps in a universe where everything is possible, the most remarkable thing is not that consciousness exists, but that it exists as you. Experiencing this moment, reading these words, participating in the cosmic dance of awareness and reality. The universe may have no end. The multiverse may contain infinite possibilities. The cosmic computation may run forever, processing infinite versions of consciousness across infinite iterations of reality. But maybe, just maybe, neither do you.